Spider-Man is directed by Sam Raimi, and it stars Tobey Maguire, Kirsten Dunst, Willem Dafoe, James Franco, J.K. Simmons, a lot of great people in this movie. And this came out back in I think 2002 or something? Correct me if I'm wrong. But it's basically just about the origin story of Spider-Man, the story that we all have come to know very well. About how the spider inside of a museum bites him on the hand, and then he gets all weird and ripped, and he has Spidey sense webs out of his hands, and all that crazy stuff. And also, in the midst of all of this, he has this huge crush on Mary Jane Watson, who is Kirsten Dunst, and yeah, he's trying to impress her basically throughout this entire movie. And meanwhile, there's this guy called Norman Osborn, who is basically creating this technology to help people in the military and stuff. And he tries this technology on himself, and he kind of goes a little bit nuts, and because the technology wasn't ready yet for human trials, and he turns into the Green Goblin and stuff. So guys, I mentioned a few times in other videos that I wanted to do a Spider-Man series leading up to Civil War, and this is my first video in that series. I'm still planning to do the other Batman movies at some point. I still plan to do that eventually, but I also want to get a start on my Spider-Man series as well. When I was a child, I was a big fan of Sam Raimi's Spider-Man movies. I really enjoyed them, and I really liked him as a kid, and I haven't watched the first Spider-Man in a long time, so it was great to finally watch it again and see how I liked it now. So Tobey Maguire was cast as Spider-Man, and I think that's such good casting. I absolutely love Tobey Maguire as Parker and Spider-Man. Some people complain that there isn't enough quips, and yeah, I would like to see a little bit more quips, but I think they did make a good balance, because there are quips there, just not as much as, say, Amazing Spider-Man, because Amazing Spider-Man made more of those. And Tobey Maguire is so good as Peter Parker. I absolutely love him as Peter Parker. He is a geek, and he's so good at doing that. He's a really dorky geek. I love that. He's so good as Peter Parker. Tobey Maguire really nails it as Peter Parker. And there's also Kirsten Dunst as Mary Jane, and for some reason, I don't know what it was, but for a long time I really thought Kirsten Dunst was very bland in this movie, and I didn't really like Mary Jane very much, but now after rewatching it again, I don't know why I thought that. I mean, sure, she isn't as good as maybe Gwen Stacy in Amazing Spider-Man, but I need to stop referencing Amazing Spider-Man. I'll talk about that eventually. But she's still really good. I think she gets fleshed out enough. She has abusive parents, and I thought Kirsten Dunst was really good in this movie. People complain that the romance between Maguire and her is just really cheesy. And it is cheesy in the best ways. I mean, he's an awkward teenager guy, and I mean, I'm sure anyone could relate to that if there's someone that actually has the guts to try to actually talk to their crush. I thought the romance actually was handled pretty well in this movie. Willem Dafoe as Green Goblin is so much fun. Yeah, his suit isn't realistic. He has some ridiculous scenes where he's crawling on the ground, but he's so much fun to watch. I mean, Willem Dafoe as Green Goblin was just so much fun. Yeah, he's not really intimidating, but do they really need that in this movie? Spider-Man is a lot more fun. It's a very fun movie, and Willem Dafoe as Green Goblin was just really silly and goofy, but it's all in the best ways. Willem Dafoe, you can tell, is having so much fun with this role. James Franco as Harry Osborn, who's Peter Parker's best friend, is awesome. I love James Franco. He is such a good actor, and this was one of his earlier roles, and I really like him in these movies. I think he was fleshed out really well. He has this thing where he's kind of jealous because his father, Norman, kind of praises Parker a lot because Parker's a very smart person, and you can tell that there's a lot of jealousy in that aspect, and I thought James Franco was very good as Harry Osborn. Parker's aunt and uncle are very good. I forget the actors' names, but they are very good, especially the uncle. With his scene with Parker before he ends up getting shot with his great responsibility speech, it's heartbreaking. That is a heartbreaking moment. I mean, that was the last conversation they ever had together, and Parker completely disses him. It's stuff like that that makes his acting so good in this movie, even though he's not there for a whole lot. But one of my favorite parts of the entire Sam Raimi trilogy is J.K. Simmons as J. Jonah Jameson. This may be one of the best casting choices ever made by a human being. J.K. Simmons is one of my all-time favorite actors, and His acting in this movie is comedy gold. There's so many subtle jokes in his scenes where where it's like, your wife's on line 1, picks it up, puts it down. There's so many subtle jokes like that that make his character so entertaining, and his dialogue is just so brilliant. If we get a picture of Julia Roberts in a thong, we can certainly get a picture of this weirdo. Meat. I'll send you a nice box of Christmas meat. Now get out of here. Just lines like that, they're just comedy gold. Anytime J.K. Simmons is on in the screen, I have to pay full attention because he's just so entertaining. One thing that I kind of glossed over a little bit earlier is that I love how fun Spider-Man is. It's not like trying to take itself way too seriously. It's like they realize that Spider-Man is supposed to be fun. I mean, Sam Raimi, you can tell, has such a passion for comic books because this movie has cheesy dialogue. It feels like a comic book because if you're reading the Spider-Man comic books, you're gonna see a lot of cheese and corn. Lines like the Green Goblin going, "Are you in or are you out? It's you who's out, Gobby. Out of your mind." Yeah, people would never actually say that in real life, but Spider-Man. it's really paying homage to the comic books. And I really love that about Sam Raimi's Spider-Man movie. There's ridiculous moments that you would never see happen in real life. Green Goblin, like, turns humans into skeletons. Yeah, that's really stupid, but it's really paying homage to the comic book, and I love it. I mean, this movie really does hold up after all these years, for the most part. For the most part, this movie really does hold up very well, especially with the action scenes and scenes where Spider-Man's doing his action-y stuff. It all looks real for the most part. I was really impressed with how well the special effects held up in this movie. There's so many great action scenes in this movie, like the scenes where he's fighting Green Goblin, and Green Goblin is like throwing, I guess, spinny blades at him, or whatever. That's so cool. Kind of like the ending action scene in this movie. It just holds up so well, and it actually felt brutal and really well done and well filmed. The cast really propels the movie because you love these characters. You love every single character that's on screen because their casting is so good and the acting from all of the characters is so good. It propels the movie along because these characters are so great. If I were to have flaws with Spider-Man, they're only like tiny nitpicks, because there's the part at the end, Mary Jane is in love with him and he just kind of rejects her. I mean, I understand that that's the way it happens in the comics, where he tries to stay away from Mary Jane to, I guess, protect her because he's Spider-Man and stuff, but his reasoning behind it, I just felt like there wasn't enough weight. His reasoning behind leaving her and not, I guess, going with the romance didn't seem really realistic to me. And his reasoning behind leaving her is just, I didn't feel like there was enough weight to it. It just felt like, okay then? Huh? If you've seen Spider-Man, you probably know what I'm talking about. I just didn't feel like it was done well. And there are also times when the special effects clearly don't hold up, like the part where Spider-Man is like jumping from building to building. He looks like he's rubber or something. But these are only tiny nitpicks that hold back the movie just a little bit. I think Spider-Man is a fantastic movie. It was really fun, really good. All the characters are so great, and I'm gonna give Spider-Man an A. So guys, I'm going to be reviewing Spider-Man 2 at some point. I don't know when, because I still got to review Batman Returns, and yeah, who knows. Be sure to like this video, be sure to subscribe, be sure to follow me on Instagram and Twitter, and yeah, bye-bye.